to the Horror Hangout podcast, where two bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condo with Kate, and I'm joined by my regular co-host-ish. I don't even know anymore. So,
Who
Mr.
knows? Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Luke. Just the two of us today.
No Ben, and this is the first time in the entirety of the show that Ben isn't here.
I think, get well soon, Ben.
Oh, he's got COVID.
He's not very well. He's got the vid. Sorry, Ben. But hashtag pray for Ben. But in many ways, don't blame the virus. But I think Ben can only have himself to blame, because didn't he just say last week that he hadn't missed a single episode? It was the only consistent.
That's exactly
host.
he said those exact words, and I think he even coughed a little bit on the last word. I haven't missed a single episode. That was it.
That was when it was getting in. Yeah. I'd like to say at this point, I've never been unavailable for an episode because I'd won millions of pounds and was busy collecting that money.
Yeah.
I've never not been able to make an episode because I was doing that. Any reason that you've never had an ability to make an episode, Luke?
I've never not missed a show. I've missed some shows, and I've missed some shows. I think I've missed more episodes than you by this point.
Only two, maybe in the last couple of months, and I've been more of a permanent fixture. But you got a good couple of years on me. You could take a year off. Yeah.
Cool. So, have we got any horror news? This is normally Ben's segment. He normally has tons of preparation. He turns into what's his name, Jon Snow from the BBC.
Yeah.
He's got
a ton. But what have we got in his stead? You got anything, Luke?
I have some horror adjacent news. There is a game that's been rumored to be coming out based on one of my favorite, maybe even my favorite property. I don't know if that's true. Well, it's the RoboCop game they're making.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a teaser trailer came out. It doesn't really show much. It just shows the title and on his leg gun. His leg pops open,
which comes out. It's a little pistol. All right. What do we know anything about? What type of game it is, or is it? Because I know there's just an Alien game recently, right? Which is a online team game.
I hope it's not that. I don't know. I think it's made by the people who made the last Terminator game, which was apparently half decent. I've not played that one, but it looks very original RoboCop, very Paul Verhoeven RoboCop, and not so much whoever made the recent Ninja RoboCop one.
Yeah, although I didn't hate that. It was fine.
It's fine. Yeah. I quite like the reveal where it's like, oh, I'm actually just a head and the liver or whatever organ,
just like a little pulsating sack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be in for that. I'll give a new RoboCop game a try.
Yeah.
I do wonder with all these franchises and stuff, because just this week, didn't NetherRealm, the Mortal Kombat developer, say it's official, we're done, we're not doing any more MK11 content, we are officially working on our next project, whatever that may be. So amongst the inevitable Injustice 3 rumors, also because of the amount of horror characters they keep putting in Mortal Kombat games, there's always a undercurrent of a rumor that they will just do some kind of horror franchise mashup at some point, because I think they've done all the big ones across major games. So across Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and 11, you've got Freddy. RoboCop, Terminator, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface. Who else is there?
People are well in for that kind of thing these days. Yeah, people love
I'd get in on that.
Yeah. Who would you like to see in it?
Pinhead, obviously, would be good. Be a good Mortal Kombat in a Mortal Kombat engine. He'd be fantastic.
He would be perfect for Mortal Kombat, actually.
Yeah.
Opening up portals with chains popping out, ripping people apart.
Yeah. Who else? Leprechaun. He'd be good.
Oh yeah, there's so many great ones actually, and I can't think of any.
Oh, Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead, yeah. Who? I can't think of any. Has Michael Myers been in Mortal Kombat yet?
I don't think he has. I think he's the only one of your biggies that hasn't.
Yeah, and he's pretty tall as well. He's pretty big. I saw as well they were talking about Halloween films. They're kind of start tying it into Halloween 3. These did you see that?
This is the new one. I know. I saw the trailer, but like you, Luke, I got to about halfway through the trailer and I was like, "This is the whole film. Stop at once." So I haven't even watched the last bit of the trailer. I've watched it until the bit with the season of the witch masks come in, and then I thought I've seen enough. I'm like, I was going to go anyway, so I haven't watched the end of the trailer yet.
Yeah.
So you say they're officially tying it in?
Well, so I'm just seeing something here. It's about the tying in the Celtic mythology that pulls together all of the Samhain Halloween lore together, which I know was in the novelization of the Halloween movie. I don't know. I mean, it's even in number 3. The more I think about Halloween 3, I think the more insane it is.
I think it's my second favorite one.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'm quite excited to see what I'd like to see them do something a bit crazy with it. I felt the first film of the franchise has just got to be quite simple and down to earth, and it's just got to be a big guy killing stuff. And eventually, it's got to get more and more ludicrous. You've got to get to Friday the 13th Part 6, that kind of.
Yeah, and to be fair, Michael Myers, he has not been to space yet.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to go to space.
Has Freddy been to space? Maybe in a dream, but not IRL. So only Jason, really, pioneer.
Yeah. I don't know if I have too much more news. What else is going on?
I don't see much in the way of news apart from new releases that we're about to see, because I know a lot of people are talking about Fear Street has started coming out, but we are doing that in a couple of weeks, right? Whole trilogy's worth.
Yep.
So we shall save that for the day. And then last week was when we had all of the trailer drops. So other than that, it's
pretty dry week.
Quiet, but that's okay.
Yeah. Have you seen anything this week? Been playing much?
I finally got hands on a PlayStation 5 the other day, so I have been playing completely non-horror related game, Astro's Playroom to begin with, and that is a delight, I tell you. If we ever talk about remedies for horror, if you ever watch something that's a little too spooky, you're worried about having nightmares, put a bit of Astro on. He's a jolly chap, isn't he? He takes all them cares away with his little wave that he gives you.
Dancing. The VR one was one of my favorite games from the last generation.
Yeah, the VR one was great. It was probably the main reason I ended up getting a VR headset for my PlayStation. I have platinumed 2 games on the PlayStation, both Astrobot games.
That tells you something. Yeah, they are great games though. Pretty fun.
Other than that, on the Xbox, I'm on cheeky bit of Game Pass again, and I'm playing Man-Eater. Don't Worry the Shark. That was good. I'm going around just chomping people up. Yeah,
there was a Jaws game years ago that was quite similar to that, right?
Jaws Unleashed, yeah. I remember that coming out. But yeah, it's good. It's good fun, just swimming around, eating some folks willy-nilly. But yeah, it's good. And I saw the news last week that I think you shared it on the show, right? That there's at least rumors of the team behind the Medium doing new Silent Hill, which should be fun.
Yeah,
so I need to get up on some horror games now. I've completed that sweet little robot game.
Yeah, well, I've just rolled credits on Days Gone, which it took a long time to get there. It's like 50 hours or so. I would say definitely worth playing. I've already talked large about it, but if anyone's got any horror or game recommendations for what to play next, I'm currently looking. I'm not too sure what to go for. I've got so many games in my library that I've yet to play, and yet I'm still looking on the PS Store.
Yeah, I remember when when you put on the Discord group about, what should I play next? And at first I politely suggested something nice and, nice and gentle, like maybe Paper Beast, and then actually fuck it, get on with Dead Space. Just 1 and 2.
Wait, are they on PlayStation 4?
I guess they are. I think it was multi-format. Let me check. They were. They might not have been transferred off PS3 maybe, but it's backwards compatible on the Xbox. I don't know why they wouldn't have done it on both. We'll find out live.
Yeah. Yeah, Dead Space is up there. I've been meaning to play it for a long time. It scared the crap out of me when I first tried to play it years and years ago. Just that initial running away from the is it necromorph or something?
Yeah, the necromorphs, and Dead Space does it so well that you get into one of these sections, and because it's a game, they don't really have you fight anything when you can't do anything about it. But in Dead Space, that first encounter you have is relentless. You don't have anything, so you can't fight it. You just have to run back to this lift.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying, and it's great. But Dead Space 1 and 2 are both fantastic. Definitely worth the time.
Just remembered I've got Alien Isolation sitting on the shelf as well.
Oh, so I thought you'd done that.
No.
Oh no,
so
do that
that's
then.
The next one.
If you've got it, Alien Isolation is fantastic. Genuinely, I found it like sometimes I'll get into a game. I'm sure you've been the same with Days Gone, and then you have really mammoth sessions on it that you go through quite a lot, and you think, oh, geez, I'm caning through this.
Yeah.
It's really compelling stuff. Alien Isolation is really compelling, but it's also incredibly stressful. So when I was playing it, until I got to the inevitable bit towards the end where everything's about to explode and you're naturally accelerating, in the tense bits for like the first, I'd say about 3/4 of the game, I could only do a chapter a night. Even if I had more game time in me, I was like, I'm too stressed. I've got to stop, because it is really, really
even
tense.
Thinking about it now is very to my pulse. Is this going to be another Outlast situation where it's like, I don't know if it's, I mean, it is fun in a way, but it's also like shaving years off my life, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's hard going. Like my one of my dogs got me killed because like at the time, I was playing it on the previous Xbox, and if you had a Connect, it could put certain features on whereby if you were hiding, you could lean, and the camera on your Xbox would notice you were leaning. You could lean around things and look, but it would also pick up the sound on the microphone. So if you're hiding from the alien in the cupboard, you have to be very quiet, otherwise it'd hear you. My dog barked at someone. Xenomorph come and like ripped me out of a locker I was hiding in. I was like, oh, Ricky, what have you done? You've killed us all.
Yeah, betrayal.
Yeah, but it's good. It's really good.
Okay, I might give that a go. I've just downloaded. There's a redux of the Metro games as well. I downloaded the first one, so I might whip through that as well.
I've really wanted to get into those because they're meant to be fantastic. Have you read the book?
No. Maybe I should. I don't know.
I've heard it's good, but I think you can enjoy the game without reading the book. I just haven't done either.
Yeah. Let's make a note.
But the game list is probably the most daunting of all the backlogs I have, because films you can kind of check a couple off if you've got a quiet afternoon, can't you? But a game, it's a lot of them are a big old slog if you try and get into them.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So 50 Days Gone is like, it took me about 50 hours. Like that's massive. Like that's I mean, I don't like a TV season these days. 8 episodes, 8 hours of content. A game's like 50 hours. That's insane. And no wonder they take so long to make. Like,
I keep telling myself, like, I'm just going to do, like, I've got a couple of Assassin's Creeds. I was about 2/3 of the way through Origins, and I've got another couple that have been out since then. And I need to go back to Origins and remember how to play it and everything. And I think, I really want to enjoy the story. What I'll do is I'll pick one of these things up and I'll just run through it. And I never do. Like, I don't just run through the story. I'll be like, just collect this. I'll just do that. Just go up here. And then before you know it, it's like, oh, goodbye, hundreds of hours. So it's a big commitment. So I'm a big fan of when you get a game like you played Hellblade, right?
Yeah, I love that one.
Like really, really good, and also super self-contained. Things like Inside as well, and Limbo. Yeah. It's like, okay, here is a thing. There is some extra stuff if you want to explore, but by and large, 6-12 hours you'll be done with this. Like season of a TV show.
Little Nightmares kind of fits into that box as well.
Yeah, I'm about 2/3 of the way through that.
Number 1 or 2?
Number 1.
I mean, it's so good. Number 2 is really good as well.
Yeah, I will pick up number 2. I'm determined. I'm going to do the opposite of what I usually do. With when I see number 2 come out, buy it so it can just sit in a big digital pile. I haven't bought it. I'm going to get it after I finish number 1 and probably save myself some money on it for a change, rather than just buy it on day 1 and be like, oh well, in the pile.
I'll tell you what I have been watching, and this might shock a lot of people, and I'll tell you why after I told you what it is. I've been watching. We watched the entire first season of Riverdale, and I'll tell you why. Me and my fiance are looking for more excuses to watch TV together, and we're taking it turns. I chose Sweet Tooth last time, which is foolishly only one season long. I should have gone for something that gave me a lot more breathing room, because she's really into Riverdale, and we're watching it, and it's like 4 or 5 seasons long, and I have to say it's not as bad as I've been making it out to be for these past 100 or so episodes. It's fine. I mean, once you get into it, it's like any soap opera. You kind of just want to
know. You want to see what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
My wife, Karen hate watches a lot of stuff, so she watched Maths, Married at First Sight, Australia. And there's a podcast we listen to called Batch Bitch, which is about it, which is how I learned about it in the first place. And they're very funny. And the program is obscene, and Karen will often end up watching an entire series like that.
Yeah.
But disliking it intensely the whole time through, but be like, but I do need to know what happens.
I don't think I'm even disliking it.
I've caught in on these things, and it's fine. It's just fun, entertaining stuff. As part of Riverdale, do you get to watch Sabrina though? So it's horror adjacent.
Well, it does get very horror adjacent. I think it's called Greenville, isn't it? Sabrina. They talk about going to Greenville a fair bit. Well, the first season is just like a murder mystery, and then the second season starts with a guy called the Black Hood, who's like a Jason kind of character. And then, I mean, I've seen hints of what happens in the later seasons, and I think it goes all out. Afterlife of Archie. I don't think it's zombies, but I think it does have a lot of horror.
Does it
elements.
go, but he Hollyoaks After Dark levels of shenanigans? And Hollyoaks is on at 9.
That's like the booby one, right?
Yeah, and Robert Hawthorne's doing a murder.
I'll tell you what. I'm not going to say it's the best thing ever, but I will say it's very watchable. Riverdale.
All right, maybe I'll.
The cheese factor is strong. The cheese factor is strong.
Oh, that sounds good then. Did you ever watch the Scream series? That MTV did a couple of seasons of it.
No, I didn't. I got a couple of episodes.
I really liked it in the end.
Yeah.
I feel like that has, because it's MTV, maybe it has what I guess would be Riverdale-y vibes.
That is the vibe. That
maybe
MTV
you can try that with
TV vibe. Yeah, I think she's even seen it. But now I'm already trying to pick out what am I going to watch. What's my choice going to be after we get through Riverdale? It's something long, maybe X-Files.
EastEnders.
Never ended.
I've done it.
Yeah.
What could you do? It has to be something you've already seen that you want like her to experience, or could it be something completely new that you just fancy?
I think something completely new. I probably want to watch. Although I've been meaning to watch Fringe again, so maybe I'll watch Fringe.
You recommended that to me. That's been on my list ever since.
It's good. Yeah, it's very X-Filesy, but a bit more modern.
X-Files would be a good choice.
And
marvel at how many seasons it takes for Scully to believe him. At this point, one season in, you just give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it is something spooky. I'll go with you on this one. But no, doubt until the end, even when she has an alien baby.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Other than that, just this film. Go and
Censor.
Censor. Yeah.
Let me do my best Ben Arrington impression. Censor 2021 is I can't do the accent. Censor from 2021 is a film directed by Prano Bailey-Bond, written by Prano Bailey-Bond and Anthony Fletcher. It's about a lady, Enid, after viewing a strangely familiar video nasty, a film censor sets out to solve the past mystery of her sister's disappearance, embarking on a quest that dissolves the line between fiction and reality. On IMDb, sitting at 5.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomato critics are giving it an 88%. The audience score is at 57%. Letterboxd has it a bit higher than average at 3.2 out of 5. Some choice reviews here. We got Ian/Sawyer, but really genuinely disturbing and such a good idea for a plot. I loved the set and costume design too, as it wasn't too, hey, remember this from the 80s in your face. And then the very next view, says this is in your face 80s, 5 stars. Both of those people gave it 5 stars. Yeah, in the negative side of it, Manny Cantor said, "What a piece of trash, bored to the highest levels, a bad movie with no sense. Can't believe I watched it till the end. Censor also need to ban these kind of rubbish. Beware." So they've taken it upon themselves to sort of act as the censor,
as the censors
for the
to
film
censor
censor.
Things.
And
Can you imagine if that's what censors did? Like you said, "Oh, sorry, this film isn't very good. Cancel."
I didn't like this one. Cancel. Yeah. Last one, Mr. Murdoch, who I think moonlights as a crime fighter in Hell's Kitchen, said, "Meh, kind of slow. I liked the aspect ratio choices. 1 star." So he gave it a 1 star purely for the aspect ratios.
One
What I
star
look for in any
aspect
film.
ratios.
I go, is that 16:9? You got 2 stars already.
That's your baseline. You cannot take that away.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It seems to be a bit divided. I can see where people are coming from both sides. But I mean, I haven't seen Saint Maud yet, but I have to say, I've been really am thinking of His House, and this and Host, and I feel like there's a lot of really great. There's a bit of a scene of indie horror, British horror at the minute. I'm really enjoying the kind of unique take on it that seems to be coming out from here.
Yeah, I think for me, and we'll get into proper reviews in a bit, but I'm with you, Luke. I also haven't seen St. Maud yet, but it feels like there's a lot of this kind of quality of film and this kind of commentary of the film coming out from the UK in particular right now. And there's some really quite compelling stuff. I really like the aesthetic on this one. I didn't find it overly 80s in your face. The example I always come up to here is whichever one of the Paranormal Activities is set in the 80s. I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4, where it goes back, and that gets the 80s aesthetic. Everyone looks fairly modern, but there's a Teddy Ruxpin, and Teddy Ruxpin is there in the middle of the floor, and he gets name checked and everything. Whereas this one, it wasn't only it wasn't made into the 80s because there was like pink neon lighting and like synth. I found it felt very genuine to what I remember as a little kid, not an adult, obviously, but what the 80s felt like in terms of just the color. And I felt like my color was saturated in the same way. And I was lit in very much the same way when I was walking down the streets in the 80s in the UK. It had that feel to it, like the grimy underpasses with the nonsensical graffiti and video shops and things like that. It was
it's shot on 35mm film. I think the lens choices were there to reflect what was used back in the day. I mean, watching even like the shots where she's walking to get the tube or whatever, or even the shots where they film from inside the tube, it all feels very authentic. Like it just reminds me. I think even when I'm watching like Candyman or those kind of scenes where they're going around urban environments, they just seem to nail that aspect really well for me.
I think it did it really, really well, and I really liked just that overall feel of it that wasn't so reliant on all the classic 80s tropes like having a soundtrack that was of an 80s movie or I felt it was very, very authentically done.
Like season 1 of Stranger Things, I think did this really well, and then it did kind of lose this aspect, and then they started to just play 80s soundtracks and stuff, and they went for more of the sort of it's like the facade of 80s where it loses the authenticity. Whereas this definitely had that real grungy 80s vibe.
I think as well, if you look at like everything, like the hair and the costumes, they aren't in, I think costume is the right word, they're in like outfits which feel like normal clothes from people of the time and haircuts of the time. It isn't like even films that do play it fairly straight, like like your American Psychos and so on, their outfits are just exaggerated that tiny bit more, so it feels like it's 80s fancy dress. Whereas this, someone could show me these people and I could say, yeah, that's what clothes looked like then.
More brown, less color, more brown.
Yeah, more browns, and you're not, it's not your clubbing outfits. These are people in the 80s that have normal jobs, and it also felt very authentic with again, I'm absorbing these things as a kid, and you're a bit younger than me, but the way that the news cycle worked, I remember video nasties when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And them, being taken off the shelves, and Mary Whitehouse on the TV and stuff like that, and Mrs. Thatcher. And it taps into that very well. I do wonder with some of the people that feel like it's on the nose, I wonder where they're from. Does it feel like to an American audience, perhaps, like this is artificially built in?
When you've got Maggie Thatcher saying stuff on the TV, maybe they're like, oh, it's trying to too hard to place in the 80s, but I found it added to the authenticity.
Yeah.
Also, it felt very smoky. I could see people smoking all the time indoors, and I could almost smell it. I could almost smell that kind of stale ash on the air as I was watching it.
Feels like going to you go to your grandma's friend's house and they smoke, and very, very like smoky houses. Like
a haze of everything's slightly out of focus because there's a haze of smoke on everything.
The TV's gone a bit yellow because it's nicotine stained.
Yeah.
Yeah, but aesthetically, I thought it was a really nice look, and we'll come through it. And I guess, as always, I always get super conscious of this before we go into a film that's new, because this one hasn't had a general release in the UK, right? It had festival releases, and then it's available in streaming if you are in the US. It's on Google Play there. That's how I managed to get hold. But we haven't. Are we due for a cinema release over here, or is it just coming to VOD eventually?
I hope it gets some limited release at least. I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I feel like
it deserves it for this country, especially. I think that it'll resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah. So who got in the film? We got. I always get its name wrong. I think it's Niamh. It's the Irish spelling, Niamh. That's pronounced Niamh, right? Niamh Algar, who plays the main character.
Yep. I'm checking. I'm not gonna go out loud just in case. I believe you are. I believe you're correct.
Okay, Niamh Algar plays Enid Baines, who I recognise from something, but I'm not too sure what.
Google pronunciation says Niamh.
No, you can't be that. Is it? Have I been pronouncing? I've just calling people Niamh all these years. Also, who we got? What's the guy? He is from Nathan Barley. He's Nathan Barley. I can't remember his. What's Nathan Barley? It was Chris Morris in Charlie Brooker TV show from years ago.
I don't remember Nathan Barley. I will put you out of your misery, Luke. The second result on Google says it is Niamh, so you're fine.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, the only other person I recognised from anything else, and it clicked later on, was of course Lynn from Alan Partridge.
Yeah, Lynn was in there, and Michael Smiley, who's kind of dynamite in everything that he's in.
I know, he's so creepy in this. He's like he does the best job of, like, the second he's on screen, the second he opens his mouth, it's like, oh, you're horrible, aren't you?
Slimy.
Yeah, you're a horrible man.
He's like reaching and fondling with his eyes.
Yeah.
Giving people ocular gropes. Yeah. He is great. I think that's who got Nicholas Burns. That's him. That's the guy who plays Nathan Barley. Nathan Barley, by the way, is great. It's got Noel Fielding and Julian Barrett in Before Boosh, I think it was.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Written by Chris Morris and Charlie Brooker. Like the I mean, it's about like hipsters, and it's kind of predicted hipsters before hipsters were even a thing. Who have Sophia La Porta rings a bell. I'm not too sure.
Is that the lady that plays the sister?
Yeah. So I mean, how did it start?
We begin with just a glorious montage, I guess, of what the censors are doing in their job, and it's proper clunky VHS tapes being loaded in, and then they're watching, like,
have you got this on a printout?
I'm turning my papers over. I usually write it on my phone, but I had low battery, so I just wrote my notes down on a paper. Yeah, so it just begins with some, like, very quickly established that we're in the 80s with video cassettes and so on, and we open with like a bit of the censors doing their jobs. They're going through and watching some video nasties, so we get some fictional in-film meta films of some video nasties that the censors are going through and censoring, following the real life implication of the VRA in the UK.
Are these? I don't think I've seen many video nasties in the sense of this kind of really low budget ones from back then. Are these real?
I don't think those are real. I think they're made for the film. I think looking through some trivia for later, that a lot of them are based on, in title or in theming, some things that were video nasties at the time. And I think some of them do get properly name checked later on. But yeah, for those outside the UK, I have no idea what the US's relationship was with it. But in the 80s in particular, there was like a moral panic driven by newspapers in particular, that crime was being driven by violent films particularly, and people renting them on video and children getting hold of them. It wasn't at this time, it wasn't until the James Bulger murder in like 93 that it really came to a head, and we had a second wave of it. But in the 80s there was a large scale kind of uproar against violent horror movies in the UK, and the Video Recordings Act was passed, and then censors and the BBFC were really brought in to stamp down on film certification and censoring what were dubbed as video nasties. And this is the setting for the film, right? The titular censors are censoring some films, and there's some, you know, for a modern audience, there's already some great over-the-top, like B-movie style gore in these little scenes, right? Anyone strike you in particularly because you were watching?
I seem to remember there's a lot of like close-up imagery. Someone just I don't even know what it was. I think all I remember is someone stabbing some unknowable bit of flesh and it exploding with red paint.
And another guy's got red paint all down his eye, like a bird's pooed on him. He's like,
yeah. Well, there's loads of little shots like that. I think someone gets decapitated. I can't remember. What about you? Is there any standouts?
No, I don't remember now. Like it is like a full on montage, right? There are people getting hatcheting. There is someone that we hear about get an eye gouging, because this is where they're talking about it afterwards, and it is very like business like, right? Where main character's saying like, the eye gouging was a little bit much. I would cut 2 minutes off that section.
Yeah.
So Enid is saying, I'd cut 2 minutes off that section. It is too gratuitous and too realistic, so that needs to be cut. And then her colleague, Sanderson, so Nicholas Burns, he is a lot more. He's a cool arty man, isn't he? He's smoking a cigarette in there. Yeah. So if you don't appreciate it as the art, then you're not really getting it. And he seems like a lot more lenient as a censor.
Yeah, he seems like he didn't take it anywhere near as serious as she does. She seems to think of her job as like a virtuous calling. Like she's there to protect people from seeing things that they shouldn't. And we find out that it's probably related to an incident. I don't think we ever actually find out what did happen when she was a kid, but basically there was an incident with her and her sister. Or her sister's gone missing or something along those lines.
Yeah, we get snippets of this as the film will go on, but I don't think it's ever fully broken down exactly what the situation was. But yeah, you're right. So Enid takes her work very seriously, and she is determined that things will be properly censored so nothing inappropriate gets through, whereas a colleague is not as serious. And this is where we get the cut-ins of Mary Whitehouse on TV, and we get Margaret Thatcher talking about the. Actually, it goes beyond. Margaret Thatcher's not talking about video nasties. She's talking about miners' strikes, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of political statement from the film there about everyone's up in arms about people's entertainment, and we would see this happen again and again with films and then later video games, right?
Mm-hmm.
While there is also things that are about workers' rights and so on that are kind of overshadowed by the moral outrage as to what people are doing with their entertainment. But yeah, it's put in there, and we set the scenes as to what's happened. And I think this is when it's kind of to begin with, isn't it? We just see that we move along, and she goes home from the end of a normal day's work, and then we see that outside of work she's a lot more subdued, and then she gets a call from mom and dad to come and meet her for dinner, which is what kicks us all into action.
They've there's like a death certificate. I think the idea is that the sister's been missing for so many years, and the parents are at the point now they've had a death certificate drawn up, and they're gonna presume that she's dead. And Enid doesn't take it too well. I think she kind of accepts it, but maybe isn't quite taking it properly. She's like crying, and the dad's like, "Oh, we're gonna have some trifle," or whatever he says.
We just concentrate on having a lovely dinner. We've given you a sister's death certificate. And she goes to give it them back and said, "Oh no, we've got that one printed for you." So it would appear that they're kind of like, obviously they have done a lot of their grieving, and they kind of just want to accept that that's the thing, that their daughter has died, but they are obviously aware that that isn't something that Enid is happy with. So they're trying to get her to accept it and get back to having some sort of like normal relationship with her. They like ask her about small talk, like, watched any good films recently? She's, it's not for entertainment, mom and dad. You never get it.
That's like that moment, whatever happened in the past has led her to her calling in life. It's defined her in a lot of ways. So her accepting that she's dead is obviously going to have like a huge impact on her. Which I think the next day, or it is maybe the next day actually, that she has to review a film called Don't Go in the Church, directed by a mysterious Frederick North. I think they even one of the colleagues might even say, it's one of North's films, or maybe she meets Michael Smiley before this.
I think he comes and says he's got the next one for her. I think the big scandal we get first is she goes home on the tube, and there's been there's more headlines about the video nasties, and then at work the next day, is that when there's the reveal that there's been a murder?
The amnesia killer. Forgot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so there's been a terrible murder. Some guy, I think we hear very briefly, again, it's one of these nice examples of, horrific scenes being described by characters in a film and not actually shown on screen. So it's told, we get it secondhand. The boss calls the two censors that we've met, so Enid and her colleague, into the office and says, "You guys reviewed this film about delirium, is it, or something like that? Like where someone gets their face eaten, gets their face eaten right off." And he says, "Well, some guy just eated his wife's face, and somehow like the press already know that you two are the ones that passed it for release." And you're responsible for this.
It's the person who, hey, this is weird. So the killer name checked them, or someone who said
the press are already aware that it's them that's passed it, because the narrative around the film changes a little later on, but basically this guy's killed his wife and children and eaten his wife's face. Just the kind of thing you throw out and say, right? But he's done that, and it has been directly linked to this film because it's very similar to the scene in the film that these two have passed, and they're getting a lot of phone calls. They're getting a lot of abuse because somehow they're blaming the censors for it. I think this might be one of the bigger disconnects in the film for me. Would you blame the censors or would you blame the filmmaker?
This isn't a Frederick North picture, is it? I think that's unrelated at this point.
No, it's unrelated. It's another guy, but it's just a film.
I mean, thinking about it now, I think you go straight to the filmmakers. But maybe back then, during that period, there's a lot more pressure on the censors who were the vanguard protecting that sort of content getting out there. Yeah, I imagine there's probably a bit more pressure on them at that point in time, with people going on about video nasties on the news and talking about how it's a scourge of society and that kind of thing.
Causes all the crime. But yeah, that's happened. And I think at this point as well, cut into this, we've seen the first couple of brief flashes of her and her sister in the woods the day that she disappeared. Because we definitely see the dream once before the film comes in. But yeah, this is when Enid is sitting back at her desk and old Michael Smiley wanders in.
Slimed his way in. Yeah. He's a film producer, and he mentioned something about how the censors aren't letting any of his films get through or something. And he's just like leering at Enid right from the get-go. His eyes are like right down up her skirt and stuff.
Yeah, he's awful. He comes over and is immediately like, "Oh, you didn't tell me you had any." Like, he may as well be like licking his fingers.
Yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, I didn't tell me you had anyone quite so lovely on your staff. You should let me get you on camera sometime."
Yeah,
and then she's like, "No, I don't fancy being brutally raped and murdered." She's like, "Oh,
yeah."
JK.
But then he says, "I think Michael Smiley says I want you to look at my next." Another Frederick North picture I've got coming out. And then the boss even says she's already scheduled to do that one anyway.
She's doing it next, in fact.
Yeah, she's already doing it right now, like watching it on the computer.
So just to be clear, she's not watching it because you asked. She was already going to be doing that.
Yeah.
But he seems quite pleased with that. And we learn a little later, just incidentally, that the director wanted like a female censor to be the one to look at it.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. Okay, yeah. The guy she ends up watching it with is, I guess, I didn't catch his name, but he's seems very nice compared to the Nathan Barley guy, who is a tad bit sleazy. Maybe not sleazy is not the right word, I guess, but this guy seems genuinely nice.
Yeah, he seems like a nice person who's like, he invites if she wants to talk, if she wants to like vent on something, because he can see that she's struggling. Seems like a genuinely nice guy, and not like pretend nice. This is going to take a nasty turn later. He just seems like a nice chap.
Yeah. Although I guess there was part of me that was wondering about that. Like, is he going to get moided by her? But so they watch the Frederick North picture. As they start to watch it, it's two girls in the woods. They go in. The younger sister, or I don't know which way around. One sister says to the other, "Go inside and summon the demon" or something. She goes in, and then the other sister kind of takes on this other characteristic, picks up an axe, and wanders into the cabin. And then we just hear some like horrific axe murdering noises.
Some chopping.
Some chopping, yeah.
And I guess the disturbing thing that sets Enid off and she runs out the room and vomits and obviously is very upset by it is that as far as her, what we understand to be patchy memory goes, it is very, very familiar to some memory she has when her sister disappeared.
Yeah.
And we never, as you said, Luke, we don't get an answer to this. What was your read on it?
She killed her sister. That's the way I'm reading it. In the Frederick North film, the girl becomes possessed and then picks up the axe and goes and kills the sister. And then later on, she obviously, spoiler alert, we should probably say that earlier on. Spoiler alert. She like turns into a like she snaps. I think she maybe not, but I mean we never know. But I'm guessing that she killed her sister with an axe in the woods.
Yeah. Or is like, oh, it's so hard because otherwise, like, there would be some record of it, or there would be, you know, the death certificate, unless you just went missing and they never found her. But yeah, there is some ambiguity to this film. We never are explicitly told whether she did or didn't kill her sister.
There's this other guy who I think starts to show up in the film a little bit later on, the Beastman character, who's just like really tall. He's the one that they summon in the Frederick North picture. I keep calling it a picture, like as if like I'm some sort of film producer from
like
the
you're
80s.
A film the picture.
Yeah.
He is the Beastman, is played by Guillaume Delaunay. And when he first comes on, you do hear him speak a little bit later on. And in my notes, I have him down as like, oh, he's like French Frankenstein or Frankenstein, except just a C, not a K. He's French. And then how funny, I looked up the actor. He is French and he has played Frankenstein.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, and he's the Beastman who we see sort of incidentally in the back of Nightmares for the rest of them. Do we see him in the doorway of the church at this point?
I didn't think we saw him in the very first viewing of the film, but then he starts to show up in her nightmares or in her visions or whatever she's having. Or maybe he's in the next film, actually. So Enid becomes a bit obsessed. She wants to find out more about Frederick North. Like he thinks, this is weird. She thinks that he's seen something, or she wants to know how he knows
that he's responsible for, like, is either responsible for, because in her mind still, I think she feels like her sister has been abducted or taken somewhere. So you're right. So she feels like he knows something, because otherwise that this very familiar video is too accurate to what she remembers to just be a coincidental work of fiction.
Exactly, yeah. So she becomes obsessed with Frederick North, and I think it must be quite difficult to find out their contact details back then.
Couldn't Google
it, no. It's all, there's like a Lynn at a desk who she can ask, but she says it's going to take a week to find those search results. I thought you were drinking from a candle then.
Yeah. Oh, a lovely glass of wax. No, just tea. So Lynn says it's going to take a week. So she takes matters into her own hands and pops to the local video shop. Yeah. And again, maybe this is my age, but this was perfect video shop like aesthetic for me. This is exactly how I remember them. I can even like watching this bit of the film, I could smell that scene. I know what those video shops smell like. I know what the carpet feels like.
What was your video shop called?
There was I don't remember the name of it now. I remember it used to be on Silver Street in Tamworth, and there was a pop-up. There was like a cardboard standee for The Fly in the window for years and years. But I never remember what it was called. But we used to go in there quite often and rent videos. This is before Blockbuster was even in Tamworth. And we used to go and get, this is where I rented out such classics, or my parents rented out for us, as Moontrap, which is fantastic. We rented Moontrap a lot, and I used to always get a horror movie and a Godzilla. So they were on regular circulation, those Godzilla movies of the time. And like the old 1950s Blob. We got a ton of stuff there. There were certain things we weren't allowed to get. I was never allowed Pumpkinhead or some of the others. But yeah, what about yours, Luke? What was your video shop?
We had one in Mansfield called Impact Video, which I just had a quick Google to see if it was still going, but I couldn't find anything, which is like a massive shame. But I don't know, because I'm a little bit younger than you, so I don't know if it would have been quite the same. Yeah, we went to Blockbusters a lot. My friend used to work there. We used to get like 10 free rentals a week or something.
There you go. Yeah, it was Blockbuster by the time I was a teenager. We had Blockbuster, but until and I think we'd had like a fallow period of not really renting films for a time. It was when DVDs became a thing that you started renting them again. And when you had like PlayStation, you could like rent games. But I remember like videos, it was that one place. So I'd have been about, I don't know, anywhere between like about 6 and 8 when we used to go in there all the time.
Yeah.
So and it had that feel. It was just like walls and walls of films. They had a little kids section at the front. They had all your horrors that, like, even if you were too scared to watch them or your parents wouldn't let you, you just go and look at the covers.
I remember Pinhead, not knowing what he was all about, but being quite scared of him. Yeah. Just from the video cover. And it's weird. Did I tell you I went? This isn't too sad, but my uncle died a few weeks ago, and he had like an amazing VHS collection. So we went around and we were kind of looking at all these videos. Like the art on the old VHS boxes is really shit. Like when in your memory, like it's like up to like par with like modern DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff. But when you go back, like it's the text is weirdly blocky and large. Like the only good one I saw was the Jurassic Park one, which is like the black box. Do you remember that? Yeah, and it's just got classic. The logo on the front. It is a classic, simple but super. It looks pretty good, that one. But the rest of them, quite shoddy.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to have a look at back some of those old VHS art cases, because I remember them being in there and thinking, whoa, like genuinely, I'd look at some of the horror ones and think, that's scary. I can't like the picture on its own is as scary as anything that could be in this film.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a shame about Impact Video.
Enid goes into her version of Impact Video, and one other thing I can relate to. I never worked in a video shop. I used to work at Game, but she has some classic shop chat with the man to prove that she knows about like the thing. She's like, got any video?
Yeah, she's like, I watched Nun Murderer 2 the other day. Love that eye gouging bit. Like she's sort of referencing bits from films she's seen as a censor.
Yeah, and like obviously the guy is a bit cautious because he knows the films that she's asking for are illegal, and I guess this is a true thing. You can get your shop closed down if you're renting them out. But
was it a criminal offence back then?
Yeah, like certain films were prosecuted, and like stores were raided and things were seized, and they made it wasn't just like, this is banned. Do not, this isn't allowed to come out. Like if shops had it, you weren't allowed to. You had to get rid of it. Or return it or do whatever. I'm not sure what the mechanism was, just a kid. But yeah, they made certain films, even ones that were already released. There were several of them that got like pulled, and they lost their license to show them. So there was like an underground method, and like getting these bootleg copies of films that were banned. In the episode a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about pieces, I think Alice had like a list of like her banned like video nasties that she was going to work through.
Yeah.
And there was like a cult thing around it, which is what you hear people when they're leaving that shop. And this is what Enid goes up to the man at the store and goes, proves she's got credentials by saying like, oh yeah, I saw Nun Murders 8 the other day, and saw, like you're saying, that you saw this guy get his eyes gouged out. And that level of shop chat continued 20 years later. I'd be working in, obviously I wasn't selling illegal bootleg video games, but people would come in and have the shop chat with the, to prove they've got some cred, come in and say, oh yeah, played Tomb Raider 3 the other day.
Yeah.
Bit with the dinosaur, level 3. Pretty certain.
The bit with the shark in Tomb Raider 2.
I don't remember that. Jeez.
Oh, you
got more Tomb Raider 2 cred than me.
So you start off diving, you're underwater somewhere, and a shark comes. It's been a long time. But Enid managed to convince the guy, he looks a little bit like me, especially now. She convinces him to give him like the only Frederick North I think he's got. He has it on like a brown paper bag, and it's called a Sunder. She takes it home, whops it in the VCR, rewinds it. It's been rewound already. That's quite good of the
Good etiquette.
Video. Yeah. And then she presses play, and then it's got the Beastman in it, I think, in this one, right? And then it's got this. If you're watching the video, this bit where Alice is the woman in the video is like staring right at the camera and like saying kind of a spell or something.
Yeah, like Frederick North as a director, as a fictional director that we're critiquing here, he seems to have like a theme, doesn't he, of largely innocent, like what would be classic victim characters getting possessed.
Yeah.
And like there's a guy, I guess a slight Evil Dead homage, right? There's like, there's these words in Latin, I can translate them.
Yeah.
And he's reading the words and she goes, oh no. And she gets like a look on her eye, over her eyes, and says, oh, this evil's infectious. And then I guess there's murders. We don't see the full thing. This has got like a very like grindhouse trailers feel to it. Some of these awful films I kind of wish were made in full.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, we say that now, but we're actually watching them. We might change our minds.
You're like, no, I don't really want this. I just like this as humorous clips.
Yeah. But she sees the sister. She sees the woman in the film, and she's convinced that it is her sister, and it's played by Alice Lee. And she has a VHS cover. She picks off some stickers, and she's like looking at the image of Alice on the front, and then she's like, "That's my sister. Those are my sister's eyes."
Yeah, she looks at that image on that VCR cover and says, like, this artwork is really going to hold up in 30, 40 years' time. There's not going to be a thing Luke Condor can say about this. This is artwork for the ages.
And then at this point, Enid starts to go a little bit off the deep end. She becomes a bit obsessed. I think she even breaks into Lynn's Google search office, and she jumps over the fence table. And then she steals the address of Frederick North. Maybe not the address of Frederick North. She goes to Michael Smiley's house.
That's right. She goes to Michael Smiley's house. I forget which order it is. It's when she steals from Lynn, she either finds out where the sequel to Don't Go in the Church is being filmed, or it's Michael Smiley's address. But either way, that happens at some point. But you're right. She goes to Michael Smiley, whose name is Doug. She goes to Doug Smart's house, and he answers the door in his smoking jacket with a crowbar. Yeah.
Because he's had some people, he said there's some people who aren't fans of my films around here or something, or he's been having some trouble.
Probably those letterbox reviewers.
Yeah. So it's in your face. In your face, Michael.
Yeah, they've got a crowbar, I'll leave it. He's not. Yeah, he answers the door with his crowbar, and I guess we are led to think that maybe it is, like we were saying, not only the censors but the filmmakers as well, because over the course of the movie, Enid's been basically getting like angry phone calls.
Yeah,
right. People going, "You messed up your job as a censor, and this bad movie got through. I'll smash your face in, love. You deserve to be killed."
Yeah.
Of course, before Twitter was a thing, and you wanted to send people death threats, you had to phone them at home to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening. So I guess we can see that the film producer who produces these things is tasting the backlash of the moral outrage from these movies as well.
Yeah, he's he's got the posters on the wall of his films that he's made. He's got like I think some questionable art on the table. Trophies of made, it's like a bust of a lady's bust.
And like the film, like his living room, Enid has seen it. It's in like a terrible rape scene that she censors early in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's basically filmed in his living room to make that extra kind of grimy sheen to this whole guy's persona.
He's quite like we get the sense that he lives for, I think he even calls Frederick North a provocateur, and he's into that kind of thing. He's into pushing the boundaries, and he sees himself as that kind of extreme, a facilitator of extreme art, I guess you could say. But he has that kind of place in his life. He thinks Enid is there for some hanky panky.
Yeah, he gets her a scotch. and then quickly moves the conversation onto, well, off the questions that she's there for, and onto some subjects that he's more interested in. And she shoves him, and he cops it right on the trophy.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this death scene a few times in British films, where someone slips and they get a trophy or something spiky through the throat, through the mouth. Hot Fuzz does it out the mouth. Yeah, Hot Fuzz does it. I want to say maybe like Sightseers or a film like that has a similar kind of thing going on. But yeah, he gets a trophy through the back of the head, through the throat, out the mouth, and he sputters and dies there. And I think Enid, she just leaves.
Yeah, she says, she like goes, "Thanks for the whiskey, bitch," and then leaves. Yeah. She doesn't say bitch. She's not Freddy Krueger, but she's clearly unraveling at this point. Like I've not thought about it as we were watching. Do we? Like I hadn't had any doubts that this is a thing that actually happened. Right? We're not rewriting any history and any delusions at the moment. Right? This is I'm
pretty sure it's all happening.
Thing that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, does she go from there straight to the filming location of?
Yeah, it's either that or this is when she then goes and gets the address from Lynn, because during the meeting with Doug, he reveals that they're filming a sequel to Don't Go in the Church, because sequels are all the rage now. Mm-hmm. And it's likely to be this actor whose name is, so the one that Enid thinks is her sister. So she thinks it's going to be her last film. And he doesn't make it any easier for himself, does Doug, because he is ambiguous enough in his talking. It's like, oh, this will be her last film. She says, what do you mean by that? I'd just say she'd reached the end of her shelf life, if you know what I mean. She says, no, what do you mean by that? I would say that this kind of career is murder on your... No, please explain clearly. Are you going to murder this woman, or is she just not giving any films anymore? But he's dead now, so we can't answer that question.
Do you think there's a snuff film element to it?
Yeah, it could be. Like, I think in Enid's mind at this point, these people are sinister enough that it's a distinct possibility that this is her abducted sister. In a scene just before she goes to Michael Smiley's house, she goes to see her mum and dad and tries to get them convinced that this actor on this video cover is her. And her dad kind of snaps at her a little bit and says, no, your sister's dead. We've accepted that, but you're just kind of running off and doing your own thing, which is what you've always done. You know, when you went off into the woods on that day, that was you just doing whatever you wanted as well. So there's clearly some trauma there anyway. But off the back of this, we kind of hear in passing that the court case is dissolving, and that in the murder trial of this guy, it turns out he's never seen the film that they alleged inspired his killings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So she's just walking out of the office and she hears Nathan Bardi say they'd never seen it.
He's never even seen it.
Yeah.
I think that's a common thing with, again, whether this is built into the narrative or just an incidental piece which mirrors the reality of it. I believe it's happened in a number of court cases where a piece of entertainment has been identified as having inspired, a terrible real life crime, but then in the course of the trial, it comes out that they have not seen this film.
I wonder how they find that out. Just dig around in their brain matter for a bit and see. No, it's not here.
So like, oh no, never rented it. I know there was. Again, I'm jumping forward a few years. There was obviously tragic, especially as it's not more, even more so as it's more current, but maybe about 10, 15 years ago now. The PlayStation 2 game Manhunt was implicated as being related in the murder of a teenage boy in the UK. I was working at Game still at the time, and we had, people actively saying we had to de-shelve it for a couple of days. It was never banned. We could sell it if someone came in and asked us for it. And as with all controversies, people increasingly did come in and ask for it. So we probably sold more copies of it off the back of the outrage. We just didn't put it on shelves and actively put it out for people to do, but be it people's fascination with this edgy band game or people speculating that it was going to be worth more money, we sold a lot more copies of it around the time of this thing. But I believe in that case, it came out that it wasn't the boy it wasn't this other teenager that committed the crime that had Manhunt. It was, I believe it was the boy that was killed owned a copy or something along those lines. I don't remember the specific details, but
or having a
comes
copy.
up quite. Yeah, it comes up. How dare you? Yeah, it comes out quite frequently with these cases where like a piece of media, I guess, is scapegoated as the inspiration for for real life acts of violence. But yeah, that's what's happened in this film. But it is kind of skated over. She hears it as she is already running out of the office onto her own kind of mission.
Yep. So she gets to the filming location. It's in the middle of the woods. There's a woman there. No one talks normal for some reason. Everyone's a little bit obtuse. A woman there says, assumes that she's there for the role of the sister, which is a nice coincidence. She says, "Yes, I am the sister."
She says, "You're the sister, right? I've been waiting for you."
Yeah. She takes her into the trailer. She turns out to be the makeup lady, and I think Ian is trying to ask questions related around Alice at this point, but no clear answer is given. No one talks properly.
No one. Yeah, this is like quite a difficult bit. Her name is Debs, the makeup artist, and she's like a stone cold bitch to her. She's like, "Put your arms up, put this on."
Yeah.
And then doesn't answer any of her questions. And is, as you say, Luke, she's like quite a bit like Doug before. She's really quite obtuse with it in a way that if you were paranoid and unraveling, you would read into this as this is all an engineered plan. This is all very Midsummer at this point, right? The film could go either way. This could be a whole thing that was engineered, and I've been being watched for ages to be captured in the same way my sister was.
Yeah, I've been calling her Enid this entire time. That's just the actress's name, Niamh. Yeah, okay.
And Niamh isn't Niamh the actor and Enid's the character?
But the wrong way around. Oh yeah, Niamh is the actress. Enid. Okay, I've been saying it right. Ignore anything I've just said for the past 2 minutes. Yeah.
We'll go through and edit it all back so it's seamless.
But yeah, so I feel like at this point, I feel like maybe we're starting to view the world through her madness a little bit.
Yeah, through the way she is perceiving it at very least.
Yeah. So she goes onto she goes to meet Frederick first, Frederick North, and he's even at first, he's like seeing through the camera and he's like saying stuff like, "Oh yes, you're the sister, I'm gonna kill you." He's like saying stuff to get a performance out of someone. Whereas like on the face of it, it feels really kind of serious and sort of slimy and horrible and like even violent. But then occasionally he does break that character because he's like, "No, I can't do it. Where's my sister?" and stuff. And he's like, "Well, just fuck off then. Like, I can get another girl to come and do the shot. Like, it's no big deal." But then it's a really interesting little dynamic because when she starts to sort of really, she's obviously saying, "Where is my sister? I need to find her." And he's like, "Yeah, that's brilliant. Keep doing that. That's fantastic."
Brilliant. Yeah, in one. It's again, this is it's really cleverly done. It's one that bears thinking about afterwards. Is it if you read into sort of Enid's perception of it, this is like the mastermind that knew the details of her sister's disappearance, that has engineered this whole thing and knows she's coming and is trying to kind of Hannibal Lecter her, right? Is to really try and push her buttons mentally to do things like. But when you look at it on the external face of it and you look at it as an outsider, this is a Kubrick, this is a Hitchcock, this is someone fucking with their actors to get the best performance out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, yes, so he says, "Oh, you're the bad guy in this situation." Yes, use it, brilliant. Oh.
So then she is allowed onto the set. And I think it goes in. I think around this point, the aspect ratio does change, and it becomes like a little 4:3 square in the middle of the screen, and it's almost like Enid has slipped into one of the films that she used to act as the censor of.
And it feels like we get a little bit more sort of the color saturation changes, the contrast comes up, and we get like almost an added grain feel come onto
lots of flickering and stuff. Yeah,
we get a very sort of cinema, like classic cinema feel to it.
And even as she goes into the cabin where they're filming the scene, which is weird because I feel like, didn't they make this film already? It must be a sequel or something.
For God's sake, don't go in the church.
Yeah. She goes into the cabin. Maybe I don't know where the church comes into it, but then there's the Beastman there, but he's in full character, like his voice is altered and stuff. And Alice Lee's
he's doing full character, although the spooky thing that he says when she walks in, I've written it down. Do you remember, Luke?
I don't know.
He says, "Hello." he genuinely says, "Hello," and he goes and gives her a hug because I guess in film she is the possessed character again.
Yeah.
And she's like, and he's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for you. We've all been waiting for you." And then he has the sister is like pinned down and is screaming, and Enid is holding the axe.
Yeah. And I guess she thinks it's all real. She's in the movie now. This isn't fiction. This is all reality. She needs to save her sister from
the Beastman.
The Beastman, or whatever killed her in the past. It's all blurring together now. And then she there's a really weird bit actually. I just remember this bit. So she slams the axe into the Beastman's chest, I guess right in the middle of the rib cage. And then she's
we
looking
get a break and she's like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
Yeah. But then a little mouth appears in the chest wound. And it's like talking to her. Do you remember that
bit? Yeah, I do. I didn't catch what he said though. What does he say?
I have no idea what he said.
It's a proper Tenet situation. Yeah. I want this, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it with subtitles to see if I can pick up what he says. He says something that I didn't pick up, and
that'd be interesting. Yeah,
gives him another chopping.
She goes crazy. Yeah, and it's all kind of over the top bloody. It feels like almost video nasty level of gore. But then everyone's like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like everyone breaks character now. Now we realize that Enid's not in the film.
Yeah, and we have a snap, and the color comes back up, and the lighting is different. And does the aspect ratio change?
Can't remember. I know it goes back to, or at least we get the film grain and flicker at the end again. But I think we get the VHS tracking lines and stuff later on as well. So and then Frederick North is there. She just gets him in the neck or something like that.
She chops his head off.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the illusion is very briefly broken because there is a sound man being sick, and everyone else is just like, "What's going on?" And the actress is going mad and running out. And she runs, and the director hugs her. And now he isn't this mysterious Wes Craven man in the shadows anymore. He's just a normal middle-aged guy going, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Well, he gets his head chopped off, and then Alice Lee runs away, and Enid chases her. It's quite a fun dynamic. I'm trying to save you, and then she's like, well, "You are the killer."
I'm not. You are though.
Wait, and what happens at the very end here? Does Enid Alice just run away?
Yeah, so Alice runs away. This is bananas. I loved this bit. I'll openly say it. We kind of go full into censor mode here. So basically there's been ties to this already. I think when she's first talking to Frederick North, he says, "Oh, we all edit the stories how we want to perceive them." And And I thought there was going to be some kind of reveal that her sister was dead, and it was because of her. She was always mad the whole time. We don't get that.
Yeah.
She sees Alice Lee again, who says, "I have a sister, but it isn't you. You're a wrong 'un. Get out."
Yeah.
And she lies on the floor for a little while, does Enid, and she kind of goes over in her head, no, you, like, she's like, oh, please be her, please go on. Like, because it has to, because she, again, as we've seen through the whole film, she can't accept that her sister is gone, whether it's anything to do with her or not, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, please be her. And then she just finds like a video remote and tweaks it a little bit, and then all of a sudden the color comes up, it's all bright and cheerful. Alice Lee comes back over to her smiling.
Yeah. Okay.
And the next thing you know, they're riding in the car, and it's brilliant. This whole bit's brilliant. It's done in such a great way to really sell the delusion. They're in the car together. Alice is literally leaning against or as her
ominous drone sounds throughout this bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like it's got like almost like the film sound to it, right? Like there's a film playing. And they're both laughing, and the radio's on saying crime has dropped to 0% after all video nasties have been banned, and people are happy, and employment is on the rise to record levels. Everything is going to be fine.
Yeah.
And we just get the quickest flash of Alice, and the head is perfectly positioned. She's kind of like leaning and looking out the window, and we get the quickest flash from this really brightly lit rainbow scene to just her face for 2-3 frames of her in the car. The colors are washed out and she's screaming. And then we move along and we see a scene outside the mum and dad's house. Mum and dad are in the garden, the neighbors are watching. Mum and dad are waving like it's the end of an episode of Rainbow, and they're all going over, and she sends the sister over to see her mum and dad, and she's done it. She's brought her sister back, and they're all laughing and happy, and she's just there with a big old smile on her face. And again, we have a very, very brief flash that shows the mum and dad looking horrified, and this poor actor lady explaining that, please help me. So I guess we're to assume at this point that she's abducted her.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean, but so I think this is the most inspired part of the film in terms of this is telling a kind of story that this very last I don't know 20 seconds. It's telling a story in only a way that a film could tell a story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like this would not work in any other medium. And it's like a sensory overload where even the subtext and the metatext is kind of all working together. And there's the little brief flashes where it goes to what's actually happening. And like there's one point where she's like laughing, like looking that way, and then like her face suddenly twitches this way, like to look more towards the camera, and it just looks like completely depraved, and like looks back. Actually think about it now, that's absolutely brilliant, really.
It's so good. Like, we'll critique in a little bit of what we thought of the whole film, but like this particular section, it's so well done on so many levels. And you're right, there is no other medium you could tell this story in, or this part of this story, because it's so reliant on the differential like input from different parts of audio, different parts of video.
Even the tracking lines on the keep flashing up, and like when you've got like a bad VHS tape, even those kind of are telling the story that she's kind of taped over something. Like it's it just works on so many levels. It's really, really good.
She has censored it and she's re-edited it, and it's incredibly clever. Like, this film deserves every penny it makes for this scene alone.
Yeah. And then, but we don't even get a clear answer, which I actually really like. I love that we don't know exactly what happened to her sister back in the day. I love that we don't quite know what's going on in the end.
Yeah.
Like, we have no idea. We're not allowed to see the video nasty underneath polished version she's presenting to us. We're not allowed to see what actually is going on. Is she going to kill the actress? Who knows?
Yeah, is she off to an asylum? Like, what is going to happen? Like, it's great, and I think this is something that we see far too less of in films. Don't set me off on Alien prequels, Luke. Not now. Not at this hour. But yeah, I like that there's some mystery to it, and I like there is room for people to decide what happened. There's enough clues there. I think you can make a judgment, and it will be fine. Like whichever you decide has happened, but it's nicely ambiguous enough. It gives you as an audience the credit for having the intelligence to put these things together. We don't need an explanation or an added scene at the end where she's being carted off in an ambulance going, "Oh, I was right the whole time." And
yeah.
She wasn't. She was mad.
Yeah, really. And then it just we cut to the credits, and that's it. Yeah. Have you got any? So I didn't do any name game because I think you suggested that you might have some trivia.
Got a little something for you, Luke. Here,
okay.
A little game that I like to call Video Nasty or Video Nazi. Because it's either real video nasty that existed and was banned in the UK in the by the VRA Act of the 1980s, or it's just a film that I made up.
I thought you said Nazi.
No, Nazi. Video Nasty or Video Nazi.
Okay, I like it. Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Let me just bring up the film so I can give you some more details if they actually existed or not. Okay, just a moment. So the first one, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
The film title is Absurd. Is that a video nasty or a video Nazi?
I don't think that will be a Nazi. It's too almost mundane for you to make it up. If that makes sense.
No,
unless that was. Okay, you double.
No, you're correct, Luke. It is a real video nasty. Let me bring up a little bit of trivia here. I'll give you the full background here. I can tell you just off memory that it was a film. Here you go. Absurd, 1981. It was. It originally came out. It was originally released in 1983, but then was withdrawn post VRA and has never been resubmitted for classification in the UK. In the US, it was released under a different name. Are you ready for this, Luke? It's a horrible name in the US. Very conjures images of great horror.
Go on.
In the US, it was called Horrible.
Wow.
In the US, it was called Horrible. Apparently, it's very sought after and is expensive collectible among fans. Can't tell you anything about it. Here's another one for you. The Boogeyman.
Well, I'm going to say that's real.
You'd be correct to say it was real. The Boogeyman is real. Let me get up here.
Oh my God.
The
Boogeyman.
I don't want to alarm you, Marge, but there are Boogeyman and or men that may be in the house. Yeah, it was released finally with 44 seconds of it cut in 1992. But for those of you after 1980s, The Boogeyman, it was released uncut with those extra 44 seconds back in the year 2000. The next one for you, Luke.
Just a quick interlude here. I think I've realised what TV show I'm going to watch. Make Cat watch next. The Simpsons. All the premium seasons.
You've done it. No, you've got to keep going. The Simpsons. Okay, so that decision made with the Boogeyman on and or men. The next one for you then.
Okay.
Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker.
That's close to a real one. butcher, baker, candlestick maker. I'm going to say that's a Nazi.
Luke, it is a video nasty.
Oh no!
Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, 1981, a horror mystery thriller. It was refused a video certificate in 1987 as The Evil Prodigy, and has not been re-released in the UK. Can't see it here even today. How about then Cannibal Feast?
Nazi.
That's a Nazi. Yeah, I just made that
Playing the
one
numbers
up.
here. I thought you can't do 4.
No, I can't. I was only going to do 3.
Yeah.
How about the Gestapo's Last Orgy?
I think I've seen that one. No, I'm gonna say that is a video nasty. I hope so.
It is a video nasty. The Gestapo's Last Orgy.
That's fist pumping in celebration, but also I'm pretty sure that's the motion from the film.
Yeah, that's what they do all the time.
Yeah,
and the Gestapo's Last Orgy.
They're celebrating about everything there.
There's an unusual, I mean, not unusual. There's a lot of Nazi-related films that were banned, oddly enough. Maybe we'll come to some more in a bit. But for the next one, how about Don't Go Into the House?
I like that name. I think that's like mundane enough that one of the directors would have been like, "That's a killer. That's a killer title." I'm going to say yes. That is a video nasty.
It is a video nasty, and I guess old Frederick North might have been watching that one because it's very similar to "Don't Go Into the Church."
Yeah.
There's a series of them. I can tell you that on
Don't go into the house,
same list,
the shed.
Yep.
Don't go in the chimney.
Don't go near the park. Not even in, near. Don't go near the park, and don't look in the basement. Things that you mustn't do. Bone Storm 4, Luke.
Bone Storm 4. For who? For profit. Bone Storm 4. I want it to be a video nasty, but I'm gonna say, I mean, it's so absurd. I mean, did you brainstorm that one? Did you bone storm that one? I'm gonna say it's a Nazi.
It is a video Nazi. I can't take credit for it though. It is, of course, Bone Storm 4 is the video game that Bart Simpson wants to buy when he gets the putting challenge.
Bone Storm 4.
Bone Storm 4. What else do we have here? Blood-Soaked Moon.
Nazi.
That is a Nazi. That's just a take on another film that was on the nasty list called just The Bloody Moon. I don't know what...
the Bloody Moon, I would have said Nazi. Yeah.
Here we go.
Nasty.
Last Stop, Nazis.
It's got to be a video nasty.
Oh, I've tricked you, Luke. It's a video Nazi. I've taken the banned film themes of. There is one called Last Stop Massacre or something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go. Along with other films like The Night of the Howling Beast. But yeah, that one I'd made up. Do I have any left on this list?
That's a good list, though. I would
love. I think that's all of them.
What was there again? Just run through them really quickly. Make it sound like you're not insane.
Absurd. Don't Go in the House. Last Stop. Nazis. Butcher Baker. Nightmare Maker. The Gestapo's Last Orgy. The Boogeyman. Cannibal Feast. Bone Storm 4. Blood Murder Massacre, which I didn't say, and The Blood-Soaked Moon. Some of those
you just
were nasties,
activated at least 10 sleeper agents.
The Winter Soldier is off, like waiting for orders as we speak. But no, for anyone who wants to subject themselves to 72 video nasties, there is an IMDb list, the complete list of 72 films that were banned in the UK during the 1980s and were pulled from shelves by the by the VRA. And it features other titles such as Absurd, Flesh for Frankenstein, Anthropopagus, the Grim Reaper.
I've heard of Anthropopagus.
Anthropopagus is the Grim Reaper. The Bloody Moon. The Burning, which you've seen, right?
I have seen The Burning, yeah.
Cannibals in the Streets. Cannibal Holocaust, which you guys did an episode of.
Yeah.
Don't Go in the Woods, as well as Near the Park. The Driller Killer, which I think is
out on Arrow,
really famous now.
Yeah.
Faces of Death, which is out now. I Spit on Your Grave, which obviously is another one that's around. It's about these days. The Love Camp 7. It's the Nazis again. Doesn't say Nazis in the title, but there is one of their badges on the cover there.
Yeah.
Toxic Zombies.
Don't know that one.
Delirium. Don't Go in the House. Don't Go near the park.
Don't go in the chimney.
Evil Dead. The original Evil Dead was banned for a time. Was a video nasty. Yeah. So you did very well, Luke. 10 out of 10.
Lovely. Thanks. I'm gonna do a new horror movie podcast where I review the best 10 video nasties. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could stomach more than 2. Couldn't eat a full one.
Yeah. You couldn't get through even half a Gestapo orgy, let alone the last one.
Too filling. Too rich. Yeah. Come on, we need to rate the movie.
Okay.
I knew where I was going to go, but I've changed my answer, I think, in talking about it.
Oh, do you need a minute? Shall I go?
Sorry,
You ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay,
you go.
Oh,
am I going?
Yeah, if you're ready,
okay.
go.
All right. Well, I was gonna go with a B. I thought but I didn't even say this from the get-go. I was surprised by how easy this was to watch. Like how quick. People in reviews are saying, "Oh, nothing happens for the first." I was watching it and like 50 minutes had gone by, and I was like, "What? Where did that go?" That was so engrossing, like all the way through. It's a really fantastically involving film. And thinking about it now, I was going to go with a B. It's going to go with a B. Solid movie. But then thinking about those last moments, you are right. That is some epic level filmmaking. That at the end. So it's going to go. I think it's between B+ and A- now. I'm going to go with B+. Yeah, B+. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think if you're going to B+, you're giving yourself room for time degrading it a little bit.
It's like a C# and a D flat. I mean,
Yeah,
I could go say it's an A- at this point, and no one would say it's any different to a B+.
Yeah, exactly. It's so close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you, Luke. It was incredibly easy to watch. I'm not taking away the agency of those people that said, "Oh, nothing happens for the first bit," and so and so, because I understand that. And if you go in there expecting bloody Bone Storm 4,
but you get all the other stuff, like the films within the film. Like you get your bloodlust satiated in that way.
Yeah, it's not a slasher movie, and it's not that type of thing. It's a type of movie that maybe there are some people you would go in and think of Censor. You might look at the cover and you might think you're getting one thing and you're not. Yeah. But for me, going in and what was delivered from that film, like you, I found the characters really engrossing. There is enough mystery there. I think it's incredibly well acted. Everyone who's in it is fantastic. The leads in particular are great. Michael Smiley is effortlessly unlikable and like a horrible creepy man. And yeah, everyone in it is great. And then, like you, I think that last 10 minutes that is and it's incredibly well made, and I find the lighting and those aspect ratios really compelling throughout. Mm-hmm. And the setting and the set dressing and all the other stuff was really well done. But that last 10 minutes is such smart filmmaking. it is a technical marvel. It's a great one to really look at, and it's really, really smart ways of filmmaking, that how you can convey a message without it being a word in your script. Like, people are saying one thing, but they definitely mean another. It's very smartly done. Even if I don't watch this film very regularly, this is a scene that I could come back and I think will stick with me as one of those really great scenes in a horror movie. And I might watch the scene even more than I watch the whole film. I'd happily watch this scene in isolation very regularly. For example, with this film, like, Karen had to go to bed last night, so she didn't watch the end. I've had to recommend to her, like, next time, I'll rent it again or something. And even if she doesn't watch the entire thing, she should watch just this 10 minutes, because it's well worth seeing. And I think that goes to the entire film. So eventually getting around to it. I'm with you, Luke. I think a B+ is my long term.
It's been a lot of Simpsons reference in this episode. Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, I think we're similarly thinking similarly. I'd be interested to know what Ben thought. I don't know if he's watched it in his coronavirus haze. Who knows?
Well, you know what happens when you got COVID. You've got no taste, have you? So
if he doesn't like it, then it's a matter of taste.
He was like, oh, D-.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. We actually have, me and Andy have a book out this week. It came out as a hardcover collection of 30 short horror stories. So I think it's a best of collection of our other podcast, The Other Stories. Go to theotherstories.net/best of, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's a great looking book, I have to say.
Yeah. If your shelf is lacking a little bit of gravitas, if people come round and you feel like you're not getting the respect you deserve, copy this book on there. My goodness, you'll have pizzazz at the wazoo. You'll be
pizzazzy.
It's we're really, I think all of us that are involved with it, there's like 30 stories in there, right, Luke? So you some of the favourites you've chosen over 5 years.
Yep, that's there's only 100 hardcover books available, so I think there's only actually 75 left now. So go and pre-order now. You've got stories from Andy, myself, Ben, and a load of other great people. But it's I'm really proud of it. We've been working on it for a long time, so it's definitely go check it out. If you like the Horror Hangout and you would like to support us as creators in some way, it's probably a good way to do it. So yeah, head over to theotherstories.net/best of to at least have a look at it. Cool. All right.
Not everyone can fit a hardcover on your shelves, but that retweet button, guys, that's free.
Yeah. Thanks to Kovac Camera for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to everyone in the Facebook group. You can go and join them by going to Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. And thanks to the listeners. Give us a rating and review in iTunes. And thanks to my co-host, Andy, for being a right horror dude.
Thank you, Luke. # pray for Ben.
Yeah, # pray for Ben. We wish him all the best. Hope he isn't feeling too bad. And hopefully his taste returns soon.
Right. See you later. Bye.
Bye.